Hi, it's Doug from Rise Above Performance Training. Today in the Sports Performance Series, I'm going to talk a little bit about the IT band. I see a lot of people with tight IT bands, and we'll talk about what it is and what to do and how to get them better. So the IT band is basically comes off the muscle, the glute, and it comes down along the side of the leg into this fibrous tendon here and attaches just below the knee. So it helps to kind of stabilize the leg during movements. What happens is it gets really tight when we do repetitive motion. So let's say we're running linearly or squatting all the time in the same movement patterns. This muscle can get really tight, especially if it's out of line. It can actually cause a little bit of friction and get swollen in there, cause a little bit of tendonitis. So I see a lot of it mostly like recreational runners and people that do linear things all the time, like just squat. I don't see it as much in people that do more lateral movement sports. So we're going to talk about a little bit how to alleviate it. One way, really easy way to do it is foam rolling. So I'm going to take the foam roller and I'll show you how to roll the IT band directly. So if my right IT band is the one that's bothering me, you should roll out both, but we'll do the right. I'm going to straighten my right leg and cross my left leg over the top. You can have your hands wherever you like, just try to maintain as good a posture as you can. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll from the top of my hip down to my knee. Now the muscle part is mostly in the hip, and it's a little triangle muscle, so I'm going to roll in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to gradually work my way to the knee, and that's where the tendon starts to come into play. So if I feel a spot that gets tight, like right around here I feel a little bit, right about halfway down, I'm just going to relax and breathe. I don't want to grind it out, so I'm just going to breathe, let it dissipate. And then I'll roll slowly a little bit more towards the knee. Again, let it dissipate. And then I'll roll back a couple passes. Again, if you find a nice tight spot, just kind of let it breathe and relax and do a few passes that way. For someone with IT band syndrome, really tight, they're probably going to have a lot of knee pain. And also, if you put them on the roller and have them do this, they're going to scream. So this is a pretty painful one for people with tight IT bands, so you'll know right away. Usually if people have that severe pain, I just kind of let them hold and dissipate. I don't let them roll too much because this is going to aggravate a little bit more. So just kind of let it find little spots, let it breathe and relax. I also recommend rolling the other parts of the leg as well around it. You want to get the glutes activated because the glutes, if they're inactive, a lot of people have weak glutes, they a little bit more quad dominant. So they have weak glutes, so then the IT band and the muscles over here have to take over, and that's when they get sore too, because they're just doing too much work for the glutes just kind of being inactive. So I'm going to roll in the glutes here. So I'm going to sit on that same side, my right side. I'm going to cross my right leg over, and I'm going to get those deep rotators, piriformis, deep glute medius, and just rolling in here a little bit. So I'll just do this really quick. Then I also like to get around the quad. So I'm going to roll the top of my leg. I'm going to stretch the leg out. And I like to do 3 positions. I'm going to roll on the very outside. I'm going to turn this leg in and roll. Get pretty far towards the knee. And then I'm going to turn right in the middle. And I'm going to stretch out. Get pretty high. Just be careful not to crush anything vital. And then I'm going to roll inside a little bit on that quad in there, and then a little bit on the hip flexor. Rolling in there. If you want to, you can do your anterior tib. It wouldn't hurt. So I like to cross my bottom leg over. Turn your toe in because the muscle is on the lateral edge of the tibia, not on the inside. So rolling in there. So the first step is to roll. Get that all loose and dissipated. And I'll show you some exercises next to kind of help the IT band get a little bit stronger and relieve some pain. So the second phase of the IT band rehabilitation is I'm going to show you some exercises to strengthen the glutes. Like as mentioned earlier, if the glutes are inactive, the other muscles around, like the quads and this tensor fasciculata muscle over here, they're going to be more active, and they're basically going to do too much work, lock down, and that's where the pain's going to cause, because these muscles, the glutes, are going to be inactive. So we're going to do some glute exercises. I'm going to do a lot of single leg stuff, and of course you can scale it however you want in terms of easy to more difficult progressions. So the first progression, we're just going to do a basic bridge, but I'm going to do a single leg bridge. If someone's really bad, try a double leg bridge, and you want them to really get the glutes firing.
So I'm going to lie down on the mat here. I'm going to have one foot here. There's a bunch of ways to do single leg bridge. You can have your leg crossed or leg straight. I'm going to have my leg straight. I'll show you with my left leg. I'm going to straighten this other leg out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze my butt. So I always tell my clients to squeeze your butt rather than kind of lifting the hips, because that's going to activate these muscles. So I'm going to squeeze my butt, get my hip as flat as I can. For rehabilitation purposes, I like to pause here, so I don't want to see drop in the hip. I want to see this locked out, firing. Control down, have them relax completely, and then repeat. So I'm really pushing through. I'm feeling my butt working, my hamstring. And then I relax completely in between, so my muscles have a break. Of course, you'll have them do it on both sides. So progression 2, one of my favorite exercises, is a single leg RDL, Romanian deadlift. You can do it a bunch of ways with a bar. You can do 2 weights. I'm going to do it with 1 kettlebell. I like this way a lot because it challenges the core a little bit and also activates the muscles a little bit more because it causes the muscles of fire to stabilize a little bit more. So one way that I like to do it, I'm going to hold a weight on the opposite leg that I'm working. Again, I'll work my left leg. So I'm going to hold the weight on the opposite. It's okay to hold on this side, but when we go down, I see there's a tendency sometimes to open the hip up, and I want to keep the hips fairly square. So opposite, bend this knee slightly. And then what I'm going to think about is toe touching. I'm not going to drop my hip. I'm going to push this leg back. I also like to pause here and come back up. And then I'll put my foot down and rest and recover. So I tell people when they're coming back up to treat it like a step up. So they're pushing their leg through the floor, extending their hip to get this glute to fire. Again, I also like to pause. A new person might come down and bounce out of it and come out. They might lose their tension at the bottom and just kind of bounce out of it, might even use their quad too much. So again, we're coming down, light pause, and come back up. With someone with a real kind of tight IT band, what's going to happen, they're going to come down and they're going to get to a point where they fall over a little bit. So just bring them to that range of motion before they do it. So even if it's only just past the knee, have them pause, come back up, and then when they get a little better, they can go down if they can stabilize and come back up. So that one's really good to activate the glutes and the hamstrings and help alleviate some of that IT band issues. Last one I like. It's not done a lot, it's a lunge variation, but I really like doing it. It's not a huge range of motion, but it really gets the glute a lot. It's a front foot elevated lunge. You can use this for weight. I'm just going to show you body weight. 1 foot here, and I'm going to get up on my back toe. Now we're going to treat it like a static lunge, so I'm not going to rock forward and back. I'm going to use both legs evenly, and I'm going to drop down. Now this angle, because the front foot is elevated high, I can drop my hip low. Then I come back up. I'm only coming up to parallel, but this is where a normal lunge would end, with about this front leg parallel. It's hard to get much lower. Last part, I'm going to show you a stretch to help the IT band out. It helps if you have someone stretching you out. There's a lot of people that will do this cross leg over stretch. It's okay, it's a little bit effective, but I think this one's one of the most effective ways to stretch it out. If you have straps, that's a great way, because what's going to happen is I'm going to draw this leg across, and I don't want the lumbar spine to rotate a ton, so it's going to keep her right leg down while I stretch the left leg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the left leg, traction a little bit, and I'm just going to bring it across her body. Now I'm not forcing anything, I'm just keeping the traction pulled, and I'm pulling across, and I'm just using my body to kind of hold it. So I'm going about here, this is where I feel the first bit of resistance. So I'm not cranking forward, I'm just finding that first bit of resistance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull on it a little bit and just do some light PNF. So what I'm going to have her do is push into me this way, so she's going to kick into my body and then relax, and I'll just slowly draw forward. And she's going to do it again, push into me and relax. Good. I'm trying to keep her hips down. One more time, push into me and relax. When you come out, give a little bit of traction. Now what I'm going to do also is change the angle. So I'm going to bring it across again, and I'm going to change the angle a little bit. So we're going to get up higher towards the hip, and I'm going to have her push up in my hand, and then relax. push about 10% of the strength. They don't need to do too much. Push again, and relax. Bring it out. Get traction that way. One more way you can do it, you've got to do it on the hip flexor end. So if I have her spin on her side here, I'm going to bring the knee, bend the leg cradle here, pull this across. I'm going to pull until I feel a hip flexor kind of stop. And it's right about here. I feel that first level resistance. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this part more than the hip flexor. So I'm going to push down and give a little bit of traction, and then have her push up and then relax. And as she relaxes, I pull back and down. And she just go again and relax. I pull back and down, and then one more time. Back and down. And then when she's done, I'll bring her out. Just give a little bit of tension, traction, relax. So you line her back. So there you have it. Those are some stretches that you can do manually to help your clients out. Don't overdo it. It's just you want to do a little bit at a time, whether it's foam rolling, whether it's exercising, or whether it's stretching. You gotta continue to just kind of slowly chip away at it. It's not going to get fixed right away, but if you're diligent about it, you should be able to take care of it and make it a lot better in about a few weeks' time. So thanks a lot for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment